computer and then upload to the YouTube. So we are discussing how we can synchronize our work on showing path to vulnerable dependency in dependency list page. So.
Yes, and what about an update? An update on my work before I'm interpreted, possibly. So I've been working on the schema and on the gymnasium analyzer plus common library. So the schema, because we need to propagate the path, and when I say the path, actually it's one of the possible paths to a dependency. We've got to make that part of the report, and to do that, we need to extend the report syntax, the report schema. So that's one thing. It's still under review, but it's the update of the schema is unstabilized, so I think we're good. Related to that, I've got a merge request targeting the common library to generate the new fields again to add the path to the common library. And I'm still working on the gymnasium analyzer to generate a path. So hopefully it's not one big merge request. It's been split into 5 merge requests, I think, at this point, and I'm working on the last one. All the others have been merged. So it's 4 out of 5 merge requests have been merged, I think. And yeah, 2 more things, maybe. So initially, I was supposed to generate the graph for, the path. That's the graph for yarn.log files, but I changed my mind because there were the possibility that I got it wrong when parsing the file. It's not. So yarn.log is similar to YAML, but it's not, which makes it tricky. And so I focused on NuGet instead because the syntax it's just JSON, so it's parsing that is reliable, and the graph, the log file itself is pretty straightforward. So when I'm done with these 3 merge requests, again, one targeting the schema, one targeting common, and the other one, so these 2 under review, and the last one, I'm still working on the last one for the gymnasium analyzer, then we'll have the path to NuGet dependencies. And then I can move on to other log files, package managers. Then it's kind of easy. Once we've got the framework, the interfaces and everything, and first of all the schema, then it's just a matter of writing code. No design problem solving involved. And I think that's it. Yes, and yeah, the second thing is that when I say a path, actually it's one of the possible paths. We've discussed that in the past, in the past, and I can elaborate on that if you want. And also, it's not just one property; it's a set of properties. We need that work together so that we can process the data both in the back end. The back end eventually in the front end. And that's it. I've been talking for a while. So I'm done for now.
Yeah, I've wrote a few questions, so we can discuss later. So like updates from my side. So my task is just like in 2 parts. The first one is to parse report, And the second one show this into API response and show it to front end. So the second part is done. We had the schema, like some example in the issue. So I've reused this, and I've created serializers to show this information, but I don't have a parser. And if we have analyzed schema for the report, I can start working with the parser. So this all.
So should I answer your questions then? Or is it Tiraj's turn? Tiraj, maybe?
Yes. Okay. You were asking me if you answered my questions yesterday. Okay. I thought you were.
It's up to you. Maybe it's time for, yeah, maybe we can have an update from you. Just.
Yeah. Regarding the updates, so on the front end side, there were a couple of sub issues for this, and which involved showing the dependency path in the UI. So one was the showing the path as per the designs, and second was to put everything behind a feature flag. They both have been deployed and merged. And the pending part for now is to update the schemas, which we were having discussion yesterday. And I think it's just
maybe we should talk about, we should say the API or API payload to make the distinction between the report schema and what is sent from the back end to the front end. What about that? What about you calling that the API payload?
Yeah, the API payload makes sense.
Yeah, is that okay with you? I mean, as long as we agree on term, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got everything except that you don't, at this point, we don't know the structure of what is sent by the API endpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have been maintaining an implementation plan in terms of what is remaining, and I put in the doc, so maybe it would be clear. And yeah, so it's just a very small change which is required from my end to change the terminology, the API payload. Yeah, I'll do that once we finalize and we all three agree on it. So I think now we can discuss that part.
Yeah, and have you updated the front end based on the discussion we had yesterday, or maybe you waited until it was settled? What did you do after the discussion we had yesterday?
I haven't. I have just updated the implementation plan, which I have posted in the doc, based on the discussion we had. Like what all API payload name I have to change. That's it. I haven't changed it, but yeah, I can go ahead if we agree to it.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as we agree, you can make the change. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
But like you're saying that you change the API, like the names in the API payload from the backend to front end, right?
Yep.
Okay. And where because we actually in the beginning when we start working on this issue, we had an example that is structure in the
yes,
parent,
yes.
and does it changed? Because I see that in the sorry, let me just open.
Please go ahead. Yeah. Maybe I can share my screen so that we all be on the same page. Yeah.
Because looks that something has changed, and I'll need to update backend as well in this case.
So yeah, so let's run.
Because Tatiana, do you already have code to generate the payload? Do you have already implemented the API endpoint?
Yeah,
So
Okay.
I'll link the merge request.
yeah, can you link the merge request so that we can compare the before and after? I think it was linked somewhere in the.
I've added it to the doc.
So yeah, perfect. So so this is the structure which we decided like earlier uh, for API payload, I guess. So based on the discussion we had yesterday, so we just need to change ancestors with dependency path and top level with what was that direct dependency. So if you had followed Katrina that this comment where Fabian has asked us to change. So I assume that this is for the API payload, or was it not supposed?
Yeah, it is. Two things I'd like to say here. I guess there was a misunderstanding. It was just a proposal at first. So yeah, I guess there was communication issue. I don't know how we could have done better, but here we are. And that's one thing. Second out of three, I've suggested that changed because it's because the schema, the report schema has changed, and I tried to keep it consistent with the report syntax. That being said, in the end, it doesn't really matter if you're happy with if you're both happy with what it was before, ancestors and top level. Like it doesn't really matter to me. It's just that there would be a significant discrepancy between what we have in the report and what we have served to the front end, which is fine. So it's up to you, really.
No, I agree that like we are still in progress. So everything like this backend merge request is just in draft mode right now, and like if we can like have everything have synchronous names everywhere, so it's better. So let's just update so it's not like just not I guess it will be just 5-minute change.
Okay, so you still plan to an update to updating the.
Yeah, I'll update it. I'll update merge
endpoint.
request.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just one more thing. I'm not sure we got it wrong when making this proposal. Olivier told me that it should have been in the main issue for visibility, and that was not the case. And then it got complicated because there were potentially multiple places where we could discuss the same thing, that is the API endpoint and what it returns. So for the next time, I've got to remember that it belongs with the main issue for visibility, and because it's at the intersect between the front end and the back end.
I'm fine as long as I'm tagged into it. So, and I think it makes sense to be in the backend because it's this specific issue discusses and the earlier schema which we decided was also a proposed one. We never agreed to it. Like this is the final.
I went on vacation. That's something else. I was on vacation.
Yeah, yeah, I'm agreeing to your point that we never like put a lock on it. Like this is the final schema. So yeah, I was expecting those changes. So I never closed the front end issue because of that. And yeah, and I also agree, like Katrina, that to these changes because these are more readable, and it's good to have the same schema for front end, back end, and back end, and the thing you are working on. I guess it's called a service or something.
The analyzer, you mean?
Analyzer, yeah.
Yeah.
So the backend,
So
yeah.
yeah, the
So I think,
analyzer, yeah. Well, anyways, go ahead.
yeah. So it's good to have the same terminologies there, so that it would not confuse, like when in the future if we are debugging something. So
Great, because
I'm happy to.
yeah, actually we have discrepancies, but we're trying. I guess we're trying to make not to make things worse than they are. And one of the things, and I think it's intentional. I asked a question related to that yesterday. One of the things that we don't have a dependency object. We've got what we have here on this screen. Actually, is a location object. So we've got a location object in the report scheme, and we've got a location object in the API payload, but we don't have a dependency object return in what's returned by the API. So I was wondering, Tatiana, whether this is intentional or not, just maybe because it's more compact.
But the location is a part of dependency object in the backend point of view.
No, that's the other way around. When listing vulnerabilities, there's, and it's kind of complicated, like maybe it's excessively complicated, but we've got a location, and within the location, we've got a dependency. And here we've got, we skip this level, which is fine. I like it, actually. It's very readable. But just, I wanted to pinpoint this difference between what we have in the report and what we have, what's returned by the API. And was wondering about this difference, but I'm fine with it, really.
But it's like what the backend generate is like supposed to be like the most like easy format for front-end to parse.
For front-end processing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's served like
sense.
this function. Yeah, so that's why it's like what we send from the backend. It's like very. It looks like it's very like straightforward data, like formats for the front end, like for all the fields that we have to, all the information that we have to show. So like,
yeah, it's optimized for front end, and it's more. It doesn't have to be as stable as the report format itself, which is good. And maybe we shouldn't spend too much time discussing the property names because of that, because anyways we can change in the future, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
compared to the report itself, it's more flexible.
Yeah, but if we can like use right names right now, it's better to do it.
Similar names. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
because we'll there is a chance we want to get in the next months, for example, this is your name, and then it will be last forever. And but like this dependency path, like for me, it looks more like dependency graph, but this one doesn't actually Actually, I have a question about it. So if we look to the designs, like we have to show this graph, like from which.
No, I'm saying in my head, I'm just nodding, saying no, because it's not a graph. It's one possible path. And I remember having long discussions about that with Kaya and Mark. But you two were not part of the discussions, and so maybe we need an intro to this feature. Yeah. So what about an intro to this feature? I mean, going back to the concepts, so to speak. Is that something? Yeah. Need for that? Yeah. I guess this is what was your question. Your request, Diraj, yesterday. So, what package manager are you familiar with, Diraj? Yarn or NPM maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
NPM. Yeah.
NPM. Okay. So can you give me the name of the package you would explicitly add to your project in your what's the name of the
Sure.
dependency? Yeah, package
I can open it
package.json.
up.
Yeah, maybe you've got a project. Yeah, great. If you've got a project you're familiar with, it's even better.
So yeah, so I
Yeah,
recently
so
added this dependency DOM purify, and we
yeah,
can look at the. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah, it's a bit more complex, but anyways, let's go for it. Yeah.
So it doesn't have any parent, I
No,
guess. So
yes. You're. I mean, it's fine. I'm fine with that, but it's not
yeah,
the
yeah,
easiest scenario. So, but one thing we can say here is that okay, we've got two files. One dependency file you edit, I mean you as a developer, and that is package.json, and the other one, the log file, that is generated. So from now on, sorry, I'm gonna say dependency file as opposed to log file. Okay, dependency
right.
file, log file. So the log file, the dependency file is the one you edit as a developer, and the log file is the one that is generated by the package manager. So what you added to your dep file was DOM purify.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something your project directly depends on. It's a direct dependency of your project. You know
Okay.
it's there because it's explicitly referenced in your code base, and it's been added to this dep file by you developer. So that's a direct dependency of your project.
Right.
Tatiana, question?
So like
Uh,
it's the same, like it's what we call previously top level dependency.
Yeah, but if I can avoid if I can avoid composed words and avoid the confusion between underscores and hyphens like dashes, it's even better.
Okay.
And top level, like it's I like this term top level, but it's not so common. Direct is more common, though it can be ambiguous. Like naming is hard. We know all of that. Yeah. So is it? And direct is relative, I guess. It's direct dependency of your project. Of your project. I repeat, of your project. It's all a direct project dependency. And then you've got many other dependencies, like I guess you've got Q in your yarn.log. You know this package Q? It's pretty much everywhere. Maybe it's there.
sorry. It's Q.
Q, just Q. Yeah. No, Q at, maybe Q at, if you look for the.
So I can look for Q in the direct dependencies so that.
I guess it's not. No, Q, just the letter Q, just one character, Q.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, just Q.
It will be hard to find.
Yeah, unless you know the syntax. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Well, Babel. Hang on. We can play with Babel because I kind of know its dependencies. So Babel jest, maybe we can start with this one.
Okay. So we have this direct.
Can you jump to the log file? Yeah, Babel jest. Supposing that's the way we say it. So that one depends on jest transform, which I think is not direct dependency, and shulk is typically a transitive dependency also / also. So can you have a look at can you search for shulk and slash in your deb file?
Sure.
I mean, package.json.
Yeah.
No, it's there. Slash?
Is,
Slash? What about slash?
slash isn't there.
Slash is not. So slash is a transitive dependency. Your project depends on that one because it directly depends on something that in the end depends on slash.
So slash is parent dependency for Babel, just?
Yeah, but I wanted to introduce this term transitive or transient or indirect. Like you
Sorry,
can find any of these, transient, indirect, or transitive. This is a dependency that is not directly a project dependency, but something your project depends on because it depends on the package that depends on this.
Okay.
So, so it's either direct or not, like can't be both, direct, indirect.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So question at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are all the dependency from slash, are they considered to be indirect for this project as well? Can
all
we
the dependencies of slash?
Yeah.
No, because it's possible that slash depends on the package that is a direct dependency of the project. Who knows?
So we have slash free version.
Oh, yeah, and that's something else. You've got multiple, because it's Yarn, you possibly have multiple versions of the same package in the same project. Because you've got one package that depends on /1, but another package, somewhere in your dependency tree that depends on /2, but also another package that depends on /3, and you end up having 3 versions of slash. That is unique to Yarn. Considering what you support, as the only one capable of that.
So I have one question here in terms of UI. We were talking about this Babel Jest. So the Babel Jest would appear here, like instead of on the left-hand side, leftmost side. And here it would be obviously the yarn log for this case. And the next point would be the slash.
No, nothing. Because it's what we and we can go back to the discovery issue, but from a UX perspective, here's a problem we're trying to solve. Developers know the direct project dependencies because they edit this deb file, Okay. Do you agree with me on that? Yes? No? As a developer, you know what's in package.json because that's a file you edit, right? Okay. So as a developer, if we say that one of the files listed in package.json, let's say Babel Jest, is vulnerable, you know what to do because you were the one adding this dependency to your project in the first place. Another developers of your team, but it's something you can easily it's actionable. That's my point. You can make sense of that one, and it's actionable because it's there. It's in your deb file. Okay. So if it's in that case, there's no path to show because it's just there. It's a direct dependency, no path. It's the project, the dependency, nothing. It's nothing in between. There's nothing in between. And because there's nothing in between, it makes sense to developers working on the project. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, but we would also like to know what this particular project is dependent on. So I added Babel Jest, but I would also like to know that it should. I would also like to know in the UI that it is dependent on slash, because uh, tomorrow when slash dependency get any vulnerability, then
Depending on,
it's
yeah, and yes and no. Depending on the problem you're trying to solve. If you're chasing, for example, dependencies, you go to the dependency list, in the UI, and at the top of the list, you've got the vulnerable dependencies. And there you've got slash, and there you've got slash.
Oh,
it's there.
So,
it's there. Slash is there. Only the problem is you don't know why it's there, because you don't know how it relates to the
it's other way
dependencies you
around.
maintain.
Okay. I think I get completely now that it's other way around, that a dependency is there because of the dependencies which we have introduced ourselves in the project.
Exactly, precisely. So
Okay.
we know it's vulnerable, but as a user, as a developer, it doesn't make sense to me, because I don't know. I don't even know. Actually, maybe I didn't even know it was there. Like, oh, slash, what is that?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I want answers, because if I don't know where it comes from, so to speak, how it relates to the top level dependencies, direct dependencies, I don't even know what to update. Like, I can upgrade everything, like but if I want to make a conservative upgrade, if it in the case where maybe I should make a distinction between update and upgrade, but if running yarn upgrade is not enough, then what should I do? Where is the problem? What dependency prevents me from upgrading to a fixed version of slash? I don't know. I'm lost.
Now I get it completely. And thanks for
So,
inviting to me this call.
My pleasure. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad it makes sense
Yeah.
now. The thing is, slash. Well, first, let's consider one version of slash, because actually, since we are using yarn, you may have multiple versions of slash in your project. But let's consider one version of slash, like slash. Can you go to slash? Yeah, slash 100, and this one is affected somehow. It's might very well be. It's possible that we've got this dependency slash because of multiple direct dependencies of your project. I don't know if that's the case. Can you look for slash in your, like, yeah. Okay, /3. Keep looking for slash with
we have /2.
Okay, console needs 2. Which one is that? Can you go up?
Yep.
Okay, console. Next one.
So
go up. Yeah. Okay, so Jest console and Jest reporters both depend on /2. See?
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yep, they do.
Oops, sorry. And I don't know if Jest console and Jest2 are direct dependencies or not. But in any case, all that to say that there are multiple paths to this dependency. Why is that? Like, why is it that we have /2 in this project? Well, that's because of Jest console, but it's also because of Jest, I forgot the name of the other, reporters. That's because of these two, and maybe because of other packages we've got. And there's. So my point is that there's a web of connections between your project and any vulnerable dependency. And there's more than one path. There are multiple paths. But
yeah,
and if the web of the entire web of connections between the dependencies is the graph, like the full dependency graph, then the answer to what is between the root node, that is the project itself, and this affected dependency? The answer is a subgraph. Is the graph limited to these two nodes? But so ideally we would show that, but not now. So for now we just show one path. Okay,
So
I've talked too much.
So this path is some sort of like shortest path, or like any preference, or just the one of it?
Yeah. Sorry for the noise. We decided that it would be one of the shortest paths.
Okay.
The first idea that came up was, let's take the shortest path, but wait a minute, we may have multiple shortest paths. And actually, that's when experimenting on that, it came very quickly. Came very quickly. I was working on a graph, and there's three shortest paths. The three shortest paths were had the same length, 3 jumps, all three jumps. So just one of these, because it's a hint. It's and okay. Why one of the shortest? Because it's just easier than all of them. And why the shortest? Because it's surely easier to make sense of a short path than it is to make sense of a long path.
Yeah.
So
plus it can get complicated with cycles. You can get cycles also. So we shouldn't go there for now. Yeah, sorry.
So like a question. So we have this dependency list page, and users use it to, like, they have information about dependencies there, about vulnerabilities. And for example, I have this dependency list and have this slash dependency on this page, and I see it has vulnerability. So like, and I have this dependency path to it. So how it can help me, for example, to fix these vulnerabilities, or it shouldn't help me?
It should. Yeah, it should, because I mean, I'm not familiar with this project, but developers are very likely to be familiar with Swell because it's a top level direct dependency.
Mm-hmm.
They might be familiar with the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, they are more familiar with the leftmost dependencies.
Mm-hmm.
And then gets obscure, or maybe they can make sense of all of them. Who knows?
Yeah, and like, for example, I have this like upper dependency, and I know that, like, for example, like I see there is a vulnerability there. So okay, so I want to update this Swell dependency. Maybe it has like new version of, like, it depends on a newer version, and when I'll upgrade, there will be no vulnerability. But because there are another dependencies using this upper dependency, so vulnerability will be still there.
Well, but yeah, but if the problem is solved in the context of one dependency, then it will remain, but the path will be different, and you can iterate that way. I know it's not great, but keep in mind that this is specific to Yarn, and it's just a start. Yes, but I know, and also 3 options. One option is to update, like trying to get to get to the highest version in range. That's my definition of update. It's not consensual, but that's mine. Might work, in which case it's cool, like it's great. And by knowing the dependency, the direct level dependency involved, you can make, depending on the package manager, you can do some kind of conservative update. Sorry, you update just this one because you don't want to mess with the others. it's not safe. Like you're not sure you've got good test coverage or things like that. Like you don't trust that big update. You just update this. So that would be the value of knowing the path, one path. And if it doesn't work, then at least you know what requirement should be changed. Like maybe you have to upgrade from Swell 1.2 to Swell 2.0, something like that. And you know that it's about Swell. But maybe the solution is to remove this dependency. Depending, not necessarily a common scenario. But
okay,
given that, sorry. Please go ahead.
I was just exploring use cases, like to illustrate how users can make use of that.
So, like, I understand it's like right now what we have is dependency path. It's just like part. Like in future, we'll be going toward to have a dependency graph, full graph.
Yeah, subgraph.
Okay. And
yeah.
in future
something else. Something quite important. I forgot. If the path leads to a dev dependency, then that's very informative. From that, you might infer that you're not at risk, because the only path to this vulnerable dependency, transitive dependency, is a direct dependency that is a development dependency. So there would be no risk at runtime. This is where this information is very useful. Or maybe you know how this direct dependency is used, and yeah, because of the way it's used, nobody can leverage this vulnerability, like in this transient dependency.
Okay.
Anyways, I've talked too much.
But in future, we'll have, like, we probably will show this multiple paths to dependency.
Yeah, as a subgraph, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I remember Mark being a bit reluctant, but I mean, we need more UX research. That's something. Yeah, that was a conclusion, I guess. We don't know enough about this problem. We're trying to solve it at this point, so just a starting point.
Okay. Yeah, but like, yeah, showing dependency paths is really, I guess, helpful, because I know in the past we have some complaints when people don't understand why I have this dependency in my dependency list. I didn't add it. So yeah.
But it's just the beginning. It's very limited. And there are also technical consideration. We can't, it would be hard to communicate the full graph without rethinking the way we transfer data between front-end and back-end and front-end, I mean. Like this list, having a list of ancestors for each dependency doesn't scale. Like it doesn't scale. It's not the right tool if you want to build. Wait, first, sorry for the confusion. First, it's not, you can't express a graph this way, so there would be a significant change if you wanted to communicate a graph to the front end. And the graph has to be exhaustive. You can't truncate the graph unless you implement some kind of query API endpoint where you can ask, what is the subgraph for this? What is the subgraph for that? But then we would have complexity on the back end. All that to say that there are technical considerations. We don't, one step at a time. I guess that's a takeaway.
Okay.
I just have two quick questions. So in this screen, so this swell is a dependency, so like all these, the dependencies in the entire path will be listed in the dependency list. So for example, swell and zeb and all these will be listed in the entire list.
Unless there's a bug, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
yeah, because are you thinking about creating links? Not sure we need that. I think we've
yeah,
considered that in
because
the
that would,
research, but we couldn't see any use for that.
I mean, it could help in a way that, you know, if so is npm ecosystem, like there are very small dependencies, and if, let's say, if this uh, this is one, we have a vulnerability in array, and we also have a vulnerability in zeb, and as a developer I would want to consider upgrading zeb directly, so that it might resolve the dependency in array, like as as itself is dependent on it. So that was my second question as well. So as a developer, I would prefer upgrading an dependency which I have listed in package.json rather than going a path where upgrading a sub dependency, because it might break the main dependency.
Oh no, I would
Uh,
say I would say the opposite. If you don't change your deb file, that is package.json, in this case, you don't change the contract between your project and its direct dependencies. So if you, let's say in your deb file you require swell and accept all versions of swell in branch 1, that would be like
okay.
1.star. You can update the dependencies. You can update swell and its dependencies without changing that. And if your dependency file is accurate, it shouldn't break. If let's put it that way, if everyone follows Semver, should be fine. See what I mean? If all the packages, all the dependencies of swell follow Semver, then you can upgrade and you should be fine as long as you stay within the same major version, because of the requirements of the dependencies, because of all the contracts between the dependencies, between the packages. Now, when the fixed version, the fixed transitive version possibly is out of range, out of reach in a way, you've got to change your deb file and maybe upgrade to Swell 2. But
Yeah,
there
exactly, yeah.
you would break the contract.
Yeah.
Major upgrade and might break. Who knows? Might be fine, but might break. Yeah. And see, that's why I wanted a glossary to introduce all these terms, especially update compared to upgrade, because definitions vary. Anyways, does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, good. So, based on what we said, a direct dependency, a direct project dependency has no path. There's no path between the project and one of its direct dependencies, because it's a direct dependency. So there's nothing in between. We're looking at what's in between. Yeah.
I actually have another meeting in 8 minutes, so like I have a few questions that I brought in the questions. So can I do we have time for them, or George, do you have any other questions that you want to discuss right now?
No, I'm good. I have everything sorted.
Okay, so like the most important question for me is, do we have like the finalized schema version for report, so I can start working on the parser, and where I can find it?
Sorry, I was reading question D. So could you repeat that again?
The first question, do we have a new finalized scheme of the report? So I can use
yeah,
it and
as I
start
said
working the parser.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, it's under review. It's been commented. I've answered the comments, but it's not matched. So technically,
so there is a
it can.
change that can change.
A slight one, yes.
Okay.
Slight one.
All right.
But it's just a matter, like by tomorrow morning, it's gonna be, you'll get the answer.
Okay.
Definitely answer, because I've assigned that to Cam, who's in Australia. So we got to wait till tomorrow morning.
And in
My
gymnasium,
morning and your morning, Tatiana, not your morning, Dirash.
So I think it would be great if we could link the MR here or maybe anywhere, so that we know that once this MR is merged, there's like we have put a lock on the schema.
Yeah, I meant to ping you in the issues, but yes, let's
yeah, anywhere.
I just like I got so many pings
Both.
after for this week, so like maybe I've missed it.
Okay, dropping the link. Can we move on to the next point?
Yeah, so will it be working with only with like how we can test it when we'll be ready to remove each flag, how we can test it? So do we need to, will it be working only with Nugget packages or like for every different package managers that Gymnasium support?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm gonna start with the Nugget, focusing on stability and test coverage, and then if I have time, I might support another package manager in this release, but not sure about that. But we've got a NuGet test project, so it should be as simple as running the pipeline for this test project. I'm gonna drop the link to the test project.
Okay, so we can use NuGet test project to test this feature.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
The second one we discussed, and the last one, like, is it make sense in the future when we have this the shortest path, like as a update of this page? Is it reasonable to have this like flag show me only direct dependencies? Is it, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to. Okay.
Yeah, I can create an issue so we can discuss.
No. Well, it already exists, I think. Yeah. No, the problem is that we can't do that until we got until we either have the data or the ability to make the distinction between transitive and don't know. Which is, it's going to be possible, but it hasn't been formalized, so I wouldn't do that. You could do it, yeah. After I merge all these merge requests, you can implement a hack to do that in a safe way without taking the risk of hiding direct dependencies just because we don't know they are direct. Right now, so here's the context. I'll try to make it short, but right now we just pass log files. Ideally, we would pass the dep files along with the log files, and we would merge the data. Ideally, we would do that, and there's an issue about doing that. In many cases, that's the only way to know whether a dependency is a dev dependency or a runtime dependency, which is very, very important from a security perspective. So we should do that, but it's not there. It's not implemented. There's no way ahead. And the thing is, it's not. log files don't make explicit that a dependency is direct dependency. It's something we infer. And in some cases, I think we can't even infer that a dependency is direct one. Yes, there are cases if you've got a transitive dependency that depends on the direct dependency, you can't even say that a dependency. You can't infer that a dependency is direct.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time for that, but I can explain. I need to draw something. All that to say that it's inferred. It's inferred. It's not reliable. It's not something. We don't have the data at this point.
This is the future, like for the future far from my.
Next year, I guess. Yeah. Next year, I hope so.
Okay, cool. So, okay, so I'll take a look on this new schema, and I definitely have some question for you, Fabian. So I'll ask them, I guess, asynchronously, and I'll update my merge request and ping you all in them.
Great.
I'll update mine as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So thanks for the talk. Thanks for the call. So have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.